pretty interesting because we woke up at like the middle of the night. We woke up and we just all these things started happening, and then all of a sudden we're in Mexico. and it was like, well, did I really go anywhere? Because I was in the same place the whole time. Like I was where I was, right?
Yeah, right.
And then the whole geography just like changes around me, but I am in the middle of it the whole time. So it was pretty strange because I had a.
Was that the first time you experienced that sort of sensation?
Probably not the first time, but probably one of the first times where it was a massive physical change that happened where I was centered in it and I didn't really notice anything inside myself changing. So I guess it was the first time that I consciously realized that I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's just happening.
Yeah, that's I mean, I've been like that for a while to where I can change the physical surroundings, and it's the same thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with me with that thing is that if you're the only one in the vicinity that's doing that, then you're still alone essentially. You know what I'm saying? But that is how it is. I mean, whoa.
I kind of feel by the way, the papaya in Mexico, that's so good.
Papaya?
Papaya in Mexico. You probably get good papaya where you are too, maybe. But when we get papaya in Canada, it's like not this color because it's been sitting on a truck.
Is papaya that like eggplant shaped sort of thing?
Yeah.
I think it's I hate that fruit.
and then it turns yellow.
Is it the one that kind of like smells a little bit?
Yeah, it stinks. It kind of smells like diarrhea.
Yeah. I can't, dude. I can't eat that unless maybe it's better. Maybe like the ones here in California are bad or something. I don't know. But
well, I know the ones from Hawaii are GMO, whatever that means. So maybe that's what you guys get, but
maybe
these ones, they're so good.
We had a juice making party one time. I had got this really nice juicer, and I was on just juice everything sort of spree, and somehow papaya got in there, and I ended up like juicing the papaya with other stuff, and I had not yet realized, like, I didn't even taste it first. So I was just like, all right, papaya, it's fruit, throw it in there with everything, and it was like, it smells like diarrhea, tastes like diarrhea. So like,
well, apparently the seeds in it are like super like anti-parasitic. So if you blend up the seeds and eat them, like they did tests on kids in like Africa that are super like parasitically infected, and they gave them papaya seeds for like a week, and it killed 75% of the parasites in them. Really? Just the seeds.
Wow.
So
maybe that's why it tastes so bad. It's like good medicine and tastes bad for you.
Right? Like oil of oregano.
Maybe we should get some papaya. But yeah, I also, during that juice party, we were doing, what's the name of it? That fruit that has like compartmentalized little buds inside. I always forget the names of everything, but
it's a fruit?
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate, yeah.
So we were trying to juice that, but we didn't want all the rinds, so we were sitting there. It took us like an hour to pick the little beads out, and then we ended up having like 1 teaspoonful of juice.
That's why I don't eat pomegranates, because like the risk versus reward is just not really worth it to me. But
it's a big time investment,
right?
Yeah.
I guess I got time though. Or what seems like time.
No, you have endless time once you snap out of the thing, but again, if you're the only one there, then you're not again really accomplishing anything.
Yeah. Well, is there anything to accomplish?
Yeah. there are. I mean, it's still tricks, but like the as far as I'm concerned, this construct is illusory. And yes, there are accomplishments and things you can get things done, but they all require you removing from the present to recognize that the accomplishment is there and that you can run toward it and then you can get it. All of that still removes you from your present, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can accomplish things, and I also don't say those are bad to like go after things, because if you're here in a body, you ought to be doing something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense,
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, it's like this, similar to what your video was talking about yesterday, and words, or a couple days ago. I don't know when it was posted, but you're talking about words being lies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was listening, I was realizing how often I get off center just by talking.
Yep.
Because a lot of the words I say, they come with an attachment to the past, something that's happened, or they're projecting it towards the future. And the times that I spend, and what you said, describing the now, it's like you can't describe the now with the truth, because the now is undescribable.
Yeah.
It's present, it's observable and visible, but as soon as we label it, it's a lie.
It's like it's almost like you can put a label physically. Like you could type out the word tree and then put it on a piece of paper and stick it on top of a tree, you know? And there's something in that the mind likes. Like it likes, like that conceptual mind would like it if you did type out labels for every single thing that we have put a name on and actually put it on the thing, like they have in stores. Basically all of the things physically have labels on them. Like if you put a label on the tree and put a label on the leaf, like this is a leaf, you know, put one on the, you could have labels everywhere, and that would be essentially what conceptual mind is doing subconsciously for us, and that's how the entrainment system happens, and it's how we don't notice it. If we saw labels on everything, then we would notice it. If we saw labels on everything, literally everything, like written out, typed out, and put on them, then we would have less problems noticing the conceptual like intrusion sort of that's overlaying the reality, which is the present moment. And it's not as
So you're saying if we got 3M Post-it notes and just started posting everything with a label, chair, yellow chair, then no one would have anything to argue about and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it would show you something. Like if you did that in your own house just for like a day or a week or something, and then see how you feel after living that experience, then it would show you something about the conceptual mind.
About the labels and the
Oh. Because they're all the same thing. And the way I look at it differently now is I still use them, I still speak, but I'm not attaching to the meaning, so to speak, as much. I'm aware of it, and it's still flowing through the conversation, but it's not acting as like anchor points that my consciousness wants to stick onto, and as the present moment is moving itself along or staying still or whatever it does, I'm not sitting here like throwing out hooks and then grabbing onto certain conceptual things, and then that's how your sort of reality makeup internally gets created.
So I guess with the anchor points, you could say that if you had an anchor in everything, it would be a lot easier to drive the ship than if you had an anchor in a couple things.
Yeah.
Because an anchor in everything would be similar to an anchor in nothing.
Right. Like the freedom is, it's like what everybody's looking for is they're looking for that freedom, that where the reality itself is not like bashing you or smashing you or crushing your mind or doing whatever it's doing, or a physical person's not coming and trying to beat you up or whatever. That's what people want. They want to be able to live in this reality and not be fucked with constantly. And
Pretty
learning
much.
learning about that conceptual mind and how the subtleties work, that's how you get out of that sort of trap.
So self-awareness.
Yeah.
Looking in.
Because
examining.
It's still you are giving permission to the realm to push you around when you allow those hooks to grab, those anchors to grab. That's your consent.
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing I was talking about before, a simple thing of going to the store and getting eggs, right? You can have one thought. That's the invitation. A thought comes in that says, I want eggs. And then when you let that come in and have some sway with you, then you're allowing that anchor to land. And then when you actually start moving and going, you are entrained to that thought form. And so you've given permission for that sort of storyline, narrative, within the overall narrative to play out.
Mm-hmm. So as long as you're okay with getting eggs and having eggs, then there's no problems there.
Right.
It's when we do the similar behavior or energetic expression with things that we might not necessarily enjoy,
mm-hmm.
or like going to get eggs is one thing. What about like I don't know. I lost it there.
Well, I mean, I would contrast.
Well, that was the video you posted, going to get eggs versus the 70-year plan.
Yeah.
Like that, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's like, like, where do I want to be in 20 years versus like, what am I going to have for breakfast?
Yeah. And that's like, that's what most people are grappling with. We were listening to Beyond the Veil a couple minutes last night, and they had Seven Bomar on, and I've listened to him a little bit, not a lot, but what he was saying is that, and I've heard this stated numerous ways, is that regions of the realm have sort of energetic hypnosis programs that are just like flowed through them, and certain areas keep people asleep. Like if you haven't done self-awareness work and you haven't come to your own awareness, you're literally you're inside of that sleep program, and you're hypnotized, and you're going to work every day, and you're on the time projection system. You don't barely know you exist, and you're within that sleep program. And I feel like that's kind of how it is for the majority of the population, is they're inside of the sleep program and they're sleeping, you know? So like that's why it looks peaceful out there, because everybody's sleeping, they're driving their cars, they're going to work, they're watching TV, and they're all asleep. They're like literally asleep. And so like these scenarios, these end of the world scenarios and whatnot, involve the removal or the changing of those sort of sleep wave programs, hypnosis programs that are put out. Just like the politics is the same thing, the sports is the same thing. All of those are there for that sort of hypnosis.
So it's almost like that, I look at it like those things that we were hypnotized by for so long, and all these systems that controlled us for so long, or controlled our minds. Well, maybe not for so long. The systems that seem to be controlling that general amount of the population that you were just talking about, they also allow the individual to latch in and hook onto these things, thus creating an obvious type of suffering, if not now, perhaps in the near future. So like in my experience, like all of those things that I hated to do that caused me all the suffering were the things that actually liberated me in the end. So it's like,
yeah,
it's interesting how it plays a dual purpose like that. But until you have that self-awareness, it's the Sleeping Beauty program.
Yeah, it's trauma based. It's the MK Ultra stuff as applied to the masses. scientists have studied crowd movements and crowd control situations with stadiums. Like, science has been built around the mass mental state of society at large, and it's the realm is upside down, so it's not. You could have theoretically the sleep program that's being flowed through the populace that's keeping them happy for the most part and in a state of wholeness and well-being, all that stuff, and they could still be sleeping and snoozing and not because I don't personally see a problem with most people sleeping because they're at the top of the thing or whatever. There's not a point anyway. The universe is just doing what it does. It doesn't really. There's not some vast universe is trying to accomplish X, Y, Z. That's still back to the conceptual mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a fact that this particular realm is upside down, like in Stranger Things. Like, it's like that upside down place, and
I haven't seen that.
yeah, it's an interesting show. And like Og says, I don't know if you listen to Og at all, but
Og Telez?
Yeah.
Is it Telez or Telez?
I have no idea. Tell us.
Yeah, no, I've listened to him like once or twice for a few minutes before, but
yeah. I mean, most people are divided as to whether they want to listen to him or not, but
I'm just kidding. I listen to him all the time. I probably listen.
Oh, you listen to him all the time?
I do listen to him lots.
Okay.
Not so much anymore because, well, I guess once the information kind of comes in, then the programming comes in, and you kind of start to listen to different things.
Yeah.
Like, Og's a great informative speaker, and he explains things, and he's awesome verbiage and like wicked words and stuff, and explains things. But once I got to a point, I had to get some different programming.
Yeah.
But I still do listen to him. So go on. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're interrupted.
No, it's fine. I was just saying. He said in words what I think everybody kind of feels, and that is that the whole construct down to the subatomic level is geared in it's in an offset from the balanced state of the actual universe. It's offset mathematically in some sort of a. It's like if you took the Fibonacci sequence and skewed that slightly and applied that into the cellular structure of the actual universe or the simulation or whatever you're in, to where the sort of desire, how you move through the life, right? Like, I want this, I want that, I'm going to do this, 70-year plan or getting eggs, whichever it is, it's that it skews that desire manifestation system to where you're always getting something that's kind of nearly opposite of what you want, but not exactly. So then when you try to find where that little difference is and run after that, it keeps changing it, like it hides itself as you try to go after it.
Mm-hmm.
And when everybody's in hypnosis, then they're not even noticing that anything is weird. But when you come out of it and you still attempt to do this manifestation thing, you still see it. It's still present, but the more present you are, the less that sort of tweak will affect you. You can still get around it.
Yeah, it's like wanting it makes it automatically not yours.
Yeah.
As soon as I want it, it's like you can't have it.
Yeah, it's
but
like that.
It's like everything. It's like, it seems like what I have now in life is a result of me not wanting anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I was growing, when I was in my old body, I guess, I wanted everything. I wanted everything the TV had on. I wanted everything Jay-Z wore. I wanted, and I could never get it, even when I would get it, because I was financially in a much better position than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was doing to get that money was not worth the energy.
Yeah.
So I gave up all my desires, betrayed my own desires, and now it's like I couldn't have any more.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
My cup runneth over, as they say.
Yeah.
But that's just that's a perspective too, right? Because in reality, I've had just as much, if not, the same. nothing changed except my perspective and my vision.
Well, what actually does change is the inner energetics of your body, and I've said this many times, and that is that how you feel is the only thing that really is important. How you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the goal stuff or the life goal stuff, or I want this car or I want this woman or whatever, that's still perceptual. You're still never actually having it, even when you have it. It's just that when you seemingly attain a goal, then it changes something how you feel inside. So if you can
Hmm.
figure out how to get yourself to a state where you're feeling at least okay, at least neutral, like all the time, no matter whether you have something or don't have something or goals or not, then it allows the actual manifesting power that's present here to work in ways that your conceptual anchor point, like sticks in the river, in the bottom of the river, are holding you to certain thought forms. It enables those to release out. And then what is an infinite universe, because it is, or it's very near to it, instead of you having three options and they all suck, or two options and they both suck, then you have all the options and they're all kind of neutral. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's
Mm-hmm.
like what you were saying. It's like giving up the desire. You have to give up that attachment to exactly how it's going down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I watched a video about might have been Quinn actually a while back. Might have been someone else. Might have been someone from my dragon family. But they're talking about how just you if you believe it, like I guess it's the law of relativity. But if you believe something, just know that it's going to come and don't question
Yeah.
how you're going to get it. Because if it's truly what your heart desires, like I guess I don't know if I'd say heart desires. If it's truly something that's in my innermost and it's something that the I within me wants to experience, then if I put that out and ask, or
Mm-hmm.
in and ask, I should say,
Yep.
it's like you said, I can't conceptualize how it's going to happen,
Right.
because my human mind cannot understand the vast infinite possibilities and potentials that the universe will put in place in order for me to experience that which I'm internally seeking.
Yeah, you can't do it because
Because
even if you don't bring in the idea that people live multiple lifetimes and reincarnation is a thing, even if you don't believe that and you're like, oh, it's one and done, this is it, still trying to say I want this thing and then go get it, you're picking from a bag of like 10 items, like you're picking from your past. And most of what you've done in your past is complete bullshit, you know. So like you have to repeat the past by going at it with the conceptual mind. You have to. There's no other way.
mm-hmm.
You are automatically shutting yourself off from the what's called the infinite by trying to conceptualize and use that sort of mechanism to create. It doesn't work.
So even an idea like I'm gonna go, yeah, huh?
It's like
That was well.
it's like jumping off the. It's like going into the unknown. You're jumping off into like an abyss. You don't know what's gonna happen. Um, and also faith, trust that you're not going to get destroyed, and also the knowledge that you might get destroyed. Like I had to go through so many different tweaks, and like I had to face a ton of fears. You have to go through a lot of things, like a lot of ego deaths, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of energetics happening that I didn't know were coming. Just yesterday, I had to go through something else that was traumatic, but like I know how to deal with it now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all along the same. You start being able to recognize how things are flowing in and out of your existence, and you know that everything that appears, literally everything, has some sort of purpose for you, particularly.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, the machine can't be wrong, can it?
Can the machine be wrong?
Can the machine be wrong? Can the simulation? Can it be wrong? And if it
The
could
machine
be,
can be used by negatively oriented beings to make suffering happen. I don't know if you could say that that's wrong or right, but the marvels of technology can and have been used to subjugate people, and likely that will continue. But at the same time, as per the individual, it's still you're still in there. Even if you're sleepwalking, you're still in there doing sleepwalk choices. Like, you're still, either there's some part of the awareness there, or it's gone. If it's completely gone, then there's nobody there to worry about in the first place. So it's always consent. It's just that there are a lot of fear blocks that everyone starts out with, and most people don't understand their own mind. They don't understand the complexities of how the mental weaves in with the physical. And you can't know what that is until you've actually gone into it, until you start meditating, until you start staying present through your own day. You just don't know what it is yet.
hmm. So you think there's people using the machine like,
I mean,
maybe we'll save that for another. We'll keep this one on track here.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll save that stuff for another show.
There are dark forces, and there are dark spiritual stuff. There are, obviously, there are black magicians and things, and they do use technology to do that. They use it for power, and they use it to subjugate, and they use it to oppress, take loose, whatever they're doing. They have, it's something for themselves, and they're not necessarily being, like, you can't ever totally deceive someone.
You can't ever what? Sorry.
You can't ever totally deceive someone like 100%, but you can trick. A lot of tricking can happen, and
Coercion.
a lot of that is done with the help of technology.
Yeah, well, I'll go on the record and say that technology manipulated me in a way that it showed me things I'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But in my experience, because I was coming from that dark place, like, I lived in it, like, I grew up in it,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know anything but fear. So I feel like technology, once it got a hold of me, it did the opposite to me. It brought me deeper into the dark, but in the dark I found the light, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. You can find awareness through many different methods. Sometimes, like, I'm more of the aesthetic, or the stoic, I guess, like, more the path of not getting involved. That's more me. But you can also do the opposite. You can practice, like, full-blown hedonism, and at some point you'll be all alone and full of fear, and everybody will hate you, and you will have killed a lot of people, and all this stuff will have happened, and then at some point you'll be like, oh, like, that was just maybe not serving me as far as how I feel. And then at that point maybe you'll pop out of it and be like, well, what is this that is still remaining after I've done all of my hedonism stuff? Because there's always something that's still remaining after you've tried to get the goals and you've tried to do whatever you're trying to do. There's always that awareness that's just simply there, and that's the actual life.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't lessen, I guess, the idea that having play or having goals or traveling to wherever, it doesn't lessen that. Like, all of that is also included. It's just that now you see that is sort of a play or something that's flowing through your awareness, and your awareness is never really touched by it. It's just aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the flight down here, that was that was consciousness playing that. It wasn't me going and trying to attain it. It was because over the past few weeks, I had somehow put hooks into a trip to Mexico without, without emotionally or, I don't know. I didn't lose my center point thinking about going to Mexico, and
How did your wife and baby factor into that process? Or were they just like, okay, cool, we'll do it too?
Oh no, like she makes shit happen. Don't get it twisted when I say I didn't do anything to get here.
No, I mean, but as far as, I don't mean as far as like calling the thing and buying stuff. I mean as far as the idea, the thought process.
Oh yeah, no, my wife's like, she's like the vacation manifesting queen of the world. She works at the airline, so she's really good at, and when she gets something in her mind, and she's so fucking powerful, this girl, man. You'll meet her one day. She's so powerful, and just like we all are.
Mm-hmm.
She has the ability when she gets an idea in her mind that we're going to go on a trip, and these are the days off she has. Like, I'm just like, okay, it's going to be great, because she's already like...
She's already got the thing, yeah.
Oh, she's a being. But the powerful mind, that's, you know, and that's the thing, is that when you have the ability to manifest from a centered point things that you love, you also have the ability to manifest hell from, you know, just being like a little bit off.
Yep.
Because you know, you can become so powerful as with that with the beast in the belly, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
You know anything about the beast in the belly?
I know there's supposed to be a parasitical, actual physical component of what we call the mental parasite. Some people have said that there is an actual like thing that needs to eat the food that you eat, and then like what you poop out is actually it vomiting. I've heard like many theories. I know that for me personally, the whole eating thing has become not nearly as prevalent, I guess. Like I still eat, but I don't eat a whole lot, and what I eat particularly, like as far as this is good or this is bad, I don't even do any of that with the food, so it's all the same to me. I barely even need it.
'Cause you're not your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So the food, like when you eat unhealthy food, it doesn't affect you at all?
Not really.
You don't get.
I mean, I'll eat Taco Bell.
But you said you're very good at eating minimal amounts.
Yeah, I don't stuff myself. That sort of gluttony is again back to the old mind that just wants to eat everything, and that's still back to the mental parasite. That there is the overarching mental parasite that they called Wetiko back in the day. In Carlos Castaneda, in those books, it was also talked about. Just there's this very, it's a mental parasite, and it's impossible to see it. It was designed somehow to run away as soon as you look at it, but it still is there and wants to just create these emotions that it energetically consumes, and it does it through the people. And that's a component of what's happening here. It's not the only thing that's happening here, but that it's sort of it's a full on mental entrainment, body mind entrainment, that if you fall into that, then it will dictate your every motion of your body and the mind, and then it will offset it a tick, so as you're falling into it and trying to fall away from it at the same time. And it's very terrifying, and you can tell something is like getting it somehow. It's very hard to look at though. But
so many changes happening in the world today, it seems like.
Yeah, there are.
Maybe
but they're not visible changes for the most part. Like when you see something visually happening, then it's like the culmination of the invisible sort of energetic plane is the culmination of all kinds of things that have been going on and coming together and synchronizing, and then all of a sudden you'll see like I don't know, one car accident happens. That is just a meeting point of a whole bunch of synchronicities that has specific meaning for the occupants of the car. But on the surface, it's just like, oh, like someone got in a fender bender.
No doubt, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so organized, and the design is so deep and multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
It goes back to the conceptual mind that we can't understand why things are happening. And we don't even really know what's happening. We just think we do. We also think we're human, too. Oh, words.
Lada says we're just high technology, but I don't know.
Pardon?
She says she says the human, at least the aware human, is like the highest technology that has been created.
Who said that?
Lauda? I showed the video I sent you, remember?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, oh yes, the well-spoken girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the humans are like printed in the simulation, like the body itself. It's not like, it's this, in my opinion, my body is a part of this system. Like it's not, it's made by the same things that the trees are made out of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a code, you know. Your body's made of a certain type of code, and if you think of it in terms of computer understanding, there's nothing within the computer operating system that is not part of the computer. It's all there, including if your consciousness were to be ported inside of that computer, and you're playing out an avatar being inside of that. You're still made up as far as the, you know, like the physical or the so-called physical, but still there still always has to be the part that's removed from the system, or the awareness itself, the consciousness itself, which as far as mainstream science has always tried to ignore that you even need the observer. They want to try to act like the physical world is an entity of you know, unto itself. And then they did that double slit experiment, and they proved to themselves that they were full of shit. Like, your observing of the physical phenomenon makes it pop in and out of existence. Like, it makes it change from a wave to a particle to a wave to a particle, depending on if somebody's looking at it. And again, that's in itself another mind fuck, because you can't mentally remove the observer. The observer's always there. Even if you say the machine looked at the particulate going through the slit, and here it was an energy and here it was a particle, and the machine saw it, but you're still looking at the machine, so like the whole thing is stupid anyway. You're still,
it just never ends.
You're looking at the readout. You're the human, or the observer is looking at the readout. So like.
So does the readout know it's being observed, and then it tells the machine, and then it changes the experiment, right?
yeah, it's something like that. It's like it's the infinite regress concept. That,
you know, and then sorry, go ahead.
You want to say like the thing is happening. You want to say in words this is happening, and it's always hiding away from that.
And then there's always the thought, it's like, what's hiding away from what?
Right.
I've had a few conversations with a couple of people over the past while, and I'd be like arguing about, you know, oh, my fucking mom or my family. This was a while back, and then I'd talk to them later on in the day, like, oh, they're so annoying. They're like, who's they? And I was like, fuck, it's a projection of my mind. Wow, shit, even my own family. But yeah. The ideas that I was playing with, though, were a projection of my mind based on to attachments from the past of something that had happened. So when they said, like, who's they? I was just like, and I'm looking around in the car sitting there by myself, and I'm like, you're fucking right. Thank you so much for that. And that's happening all over the place. That's another thing that happens a lot in society.
Oh, the blaming of the they?
The blaming of the they. Man, I did the they blaming for 2 years. I thought I was woke as fuck. I had so much knowledge and information. Yeah. Oh, man, I could tell you, like, just stuff that doesn't make your life any better at all.
That's what a lot of people actually do to me. They tell me all kinds of things that doesn't make my life any better, and they want to send videos and websites and this and that. And I'm like, okay, thank you, but I don't really ever watch. I don't know, like, you can only pack your conceptual mind, you know, like you're packing a joint or something. You can only pack it with so much, and then at some point you're like, okay, you know, like,
I need a bigger rolling paper.
Yeah, you need a bigger paper or something.
Yeah, but no, I know what you mean. Like certain things I come across or people send you, and you're like, no, it's not mine. But other things I see that like that they are, like they send them, I was like, ooh, that's a thing. Usually I wait for the synchronicity. Like if it's something that I've talked about, thought about, seen, or heard of in the past like day or two, and then all of a sudden someone sends me info about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, thank you, Alice.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And it does happen lots too. So I
and
know
it
what
happens
you're saying,
more. It happens more. The more that you can stay present, the more that you can practice that. Being that the 0 point, the more the synchronicities come. And if you go off into old mind that tells you like you need to go get this, you need to go do that, you know, then you start blocking off those frequencies again, and you'll fall right back in there in 2 seconds. Like you're not ever safe from falling back into that.
No, not at all. Well, what we were supposed to do a show last week, and I fell, bro. I fell.
Yeah.
I started being gluttonous, and I started eating too much, and it's crazy, man. Those are hooks. Those are physical hooks. Eating is physical hooks for me.
Yeah.
It hooks. Yeah. It hooks, and then the. But anyways, I fell off from a point that was so synchronistic that it was like almost broke my psyche in half. I'll say almost, like it did.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, you know, I ate a burger or something, and then I just went on like a week-long eating binge.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, whoa, okay, like now I'm down here fucking doing time. Just waiting.
Yeah.
Waiting for something to just, you know, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's that back to the synchronicity thing where it gets so, the frequency gets so in tune and harmonic with everything around it that reality is like resonating like an image that's literally projecting from inside of me, and I'm like, holy shit, like I can literally, like, it was so weird.
Yeah, and that will freak you out if you're not used to it. And I know with myself, as far as getting into that state or just going like full blown into it, you know, I know there's a certain aspect that will lose this sort of setup, because this setup again is a hook. This whole setup is a hook, and you can go completely beyond it to where you're not there anymore. You're not in the earth anymore, or you're in some other dimension or whatever. And then at that point, at least for me, it's like, do I want to stay or do I want to go? And I usually make the choice I want to stay, and then I'm like, oh, I can go grab the hook, I can grab a beer or something, and then I'm gonna be again anchored into this shit reality because I still want to be here and doing whatever for whatever. So like, there's still that balance of, do you want to go full blown enlightened and like disappear and then go back to the void, and you know, do you want that, or don't you want that? Because you can have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I like to play, so
yeah.
I'm not that guy that's gonna sit on a mountaintop and meditate. Because I don't know. Maybe I am. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm sitting pretty much on the mountaintop right now, meditating.
Yeah.
Listening to birds chirp.
Yeah.
So, but that's another thing too. The conception of what being enlightened is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like the guy that just sits there and, you know, drinks Cambodian breast milk and you know, plays gongs and does yoga all day. Like, is that why is that any more enlightened than the guy that drives a Ferrari? And, you know, like I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Not saying I want a Ferrari, because I don't even like to drive, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't mind having a Ferrari, I think.
No, I'd rather have like a Prius or something. Right?
I have a Prius.
I know.
I
kind of want a Prius.
Go get one.
Well, I don't know if I actually want one, because I'd probably have one if I actually wanted one.
Yeah, see, it's like that. Like, that's an easier way of figuring out manifestation, is like, what do I really want? open your eyes.
You're right. You already have it. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then you'll tell yourself that I don't really, this isn't really what I want, or I need something else, and then you're off to the races, and you're like moving around and stuff.
Yeah. And then you don't have what you want, and you don't have what you have.
Right. Yep. And that's how people live in misery. Like, that's how.
Right.
But still, even that is some weird masochistic way of having what you want, because they're okay with it. Like, that's their life, and I think everybody has what they want at the deepest level, or what they need, or something.
Based on their understanding of self.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have what we need, and we only are allowed to have that which is allowed to be given to us. It's like, it's so weird. Reality is just too weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Weird, of course, means, what does weird mean? To be the master of one's own destiny.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's a good word, obviously.
Yeah.
People are like, you're weird. I'm like, thank you.
Well, weird means you're popping out of the entrainment. You're like, you're not doing the accepted social norms, and it is good. And if enough people were doing that, then you wouldn't have this hypnotic wave making everyone do the same exact thing every day.
The hive mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what does the hive mind do? Oh, wow. Oh, I missed it.
Oh, I see. The hawk?
Yeah, you saw him?
Yeah. That's my bird.
That's your bird, eh?
Yep.
Where is he? He's gonna come back.
He probably heard I was in the area.
Yeah, he's like, shit, I can hear Gary's voice. I hear your voice sometimes, believe it or not. Is that weird?
No.
It's not that I hear your voice, because there's no sound actually happening, but
yeah,
you're one of the people. I was talking to my wife about this morning. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty weird how Gary's like one of my best friends. I don't even know him, but like on an energetic level, it's like my best friends are strangers that I've never met, or my best friends are like people that I just met that I've hung out with like twice.
Yep.
And then all the people from the old body are like, they won't. Like, I'm not friends with people, because I love everyone. Like, Tyler loves everyone, literally. But they won't talk to me anymore. Like, weird.
No, they can't see you anymore. That's the thing.
Right.
You actually disappear, and like, it's hard to visualize what that would look like from their side of it, but the fear programming will come in, and it will say Tyler's doing something fucking weird, and I can't understand anything that he's doing anymore, so therefore, like, I'm not even gonna go there. It's something like that. That same thing happens with me, like with my people that, even family, that it sort of goes into a silent mode, because the way their mind is working is not seeing the same frequency that yours is on now.
So you still talk to your family though?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Not super regularly, but like, I'm not on bad terms with any of my family. It's like a balancing act of, you talk to different people differently, I don't talk about any of this stuff to most of my family, but sometimes they're curious, and if they want it, then I give it, and if they don't, then we talk about regular bullshit. Because that's also part of the thing, like the divide and conquer nonsense, is when people are trying to come out of monkey mind into self-awareness, there's all sorts of things out there now that have been highly polarized, like flat Earth. That's a very basic, like, perfect example of how, if someone's trying to come out of the Stone Ages in their mind into just simple self-awareness, they're gonna trip and stumble over flat Earth. They're gonna be like walking like, oh, I see light outside the cave, and then they're just gonna stub their toe on flat Earth and then fall straight on their face. Because then they're gonna be like, oh, this is something like cool and new, and let's go tell mom about it. And then you go tell mom about it, and then it's like there's a fight, or you tell dad about it and there's a fight, or tell your uncle, and they're like, no, the Earth is round, and then that whole thing gets going. But again, it's not about flat Earth, and it's not about the shape of the Earth. It's about your mind being able to explore new potentialities, and then stumbling on the other person's hooks and their their anchor points. You're like stumbling over those things with the concept of flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just end up hating each other instead of like.
I did that. Instead of working it out, yeah, I did that for a long time with the flat Earth thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's like you stumble onto something that that you want other people to know, and because it can be so divisive, right? But
well, it's also never worked out one way or the other.
Well, yeah, and to prove that the Earth is even here, first off, like, can you even measure anything past from where your eyes can see?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and then all of a sudden it's like my measurement is from here to where my eyes can see, and then yours is the same thing. And even if we come together and stand beside each other, yours is a different view than mine.
Yeah.
So I think, there is something to be said about that conversation, but it's not coming from a point of arguing and trying to be right. It's about, like you said, seeing how when you open your mind to endless possibilities that, potentially it's both.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially it's round and flat. Potentially it's not even here.
Well, the way I thought about that particular concept is that the Earth itself as a ball is purely conceptual. I don't care what you're doing unless you're floating in space, okay? If you're floating in space and you're looking at the ball, then you're sitting on, perceivably a portion of the ball, and then you're mentally, in your mind, creating the rest of the ball. You can't see it. You can see, like, 3 miles, 5 miles, whatever. Out of, I don't know, how big is the Earth? It's supposed to be 8,000 miles.
24,000 meters around the circumference or something?
Yeah. So you can't see it anyway unless you're in space, and that's another debate. Like, everyone's like, oh, space isn't real or whatever, but if you're floating out there and you're looking at the ball, well, then you know that the Earth is a ball. Until then you're putting pictures in your mind, and then you're mentally creating it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you argue about the subjective mental creations with each other. You're like, no, this is my subjective mental creation. It's right. And then you say, but those are facts, though. Those are facts.
Mm-hmm.
It gets.
But a lot of the mental creations that we are subjected to were passed down to us too. Like, they're like entrained through you're born into it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't born thinking. I remember being in kindergarten, being like, "What? We're fucking gravity? Like, what? We're sideways?" I'm trying to, like, picture myself in kindergarten. I was super aware, but you just never, like, you're in a classroom with 30 other kids, and that just keeps happening, and you forget to ask the question. You forget to make the statement, because we're not taught to do that, and in fact, we're taught to do the opposite, so we don't even allow ourselves to learn to question things. It's almost like, if you ask questions, this is what kids nowadays, I guess my kids, I see it in my stepkids. It's like, if they ask a question, it's like they're stupid or something. Or I don't know why they don't ask questions, but I ask.
That's part of questions. That's part of the thing. Your kids aren't supposed to be asking questions. If we let the kids run the world, then we would be like in paradise, or maybe not paradise. We would be in some weird shit for sure, but like, it would be much more interesting than letting the so-called adults run the world. And the so-called adults that are running the world are presumably not even human, or they're like not even whatever. They're not aware. They're playing out I don't know. The whole thing is stupid.
The history script?
Yeah, and they're so, like, the politicians are so no awareness, like taxes. They only talk about 3 things ever, like numbers and taxes and jobs. We're losing jobs. Gotta fix the jobs. And then it's like, there's nothing in there. There's literally nothing in there whatsoever. They're not talking about anything. They never talk about anything. But that's how deep the entrainment system has gotten, to where it's the lowest common denominator of awareness is needed to understand what the politicians are saying. You need to have they're speaking to the sleepwalkers. They're not speaking to the aware people.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I listen to them talk, I realize they're talking completely inverted. So when they say we need jobs, all it does is create people working harder. Because they make it seem like there's a lack of jobs, or they make it seem like there's unemployment. and then people just like, it's almost like, it's not that they're working to get money even when they hear that. It's automatically that just ties your consciousness to that idea that there's a lack, or that there's not enough, or that you need to have more, or that you need to work harder.
And that will make that'll further entrain the sleepwalkers to their own job, because now the job seems like it might be in peril, right?
Exactly.
The shitty job that they're working, accomplishing very little, that they hate, and they're making very little money. Now they really want that, and they're worried that it might get taken away from them.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with the kids. If you give a kid a toy and he doesn't play with it, and you're like, okay, well, we're gonna give this toy to the neighbor boy, and he's like, no, I'll play with it now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, what? No, dude, it's fine that you don't play with it. Let's just get rid of it and move on to something new, little man.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So, but when the adults in our world are literally a bunch of like, there's still, especially the well, I don't know what, I won't say because I don't really know, but it seems like they're still on their mommy's tit. Some of them, mm-hmm. Some of the men that rule the world. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. It's a weird thing. It's like, even the way that we're offended so easily, the way that they trick us into being offended, and we're not allowed to say, like, it's like we feel like we're not allowed to speak our mind, and you can't say, like, you know, like, to go up to a gay couple and who is, let's say, acting a certain way in front of your kids, and be like, hey man, you know, like, it's cool if you want to be a sodomizer, but just go do it over there. Like, you would be offensive. Uh-huh. But in reality, I'm being 100% honest, man. Right. If you want to, like, make out with your boyfriend in front of my kids, you're gonna have to I'm just gonna say something. It's not, I don't care that you stick things in your bum, you know. Hey, I don't care, man. It's your business. Keep it over there. Uh-huh. Even the fact that we announce our sexual preference, it's just like, man, that's none of my business, you know. Yeah. It's none of my business. So the fact that people are worried about offending people about this stuff, it's like, well, it's being shoved in your face. It's being paraded. Someone parades.
It's the doublespeak. It's the Orwellian doublespeak. It's a very standard method of subjugating. They're just saying one thing and doing the other thing. They're saying like Catholicism says one thing and then it does the other thing. You know, like and then in the minds of the people, they know that the people are, you know, the leaders are saying one thing and then they're actually doing something completely opposite. But then they also, for them to go against that sort of knowledge that something is wrong, they're hit with the fear programming as soon as they try to go the other way. So it's the double bind and then the trap when you try to escape the double bind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's just like two levels of the entrainment system. It's very much deeper than that. That's why most people say sleepwalking, because that initial look, they get hit with a wave of fear or something, and then they're like, okay, I'll go back to that because that hurt.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Unless especially when you have no one. That is the coolest looking bug. Look at this thing. Oh. See that thing?
Oh, it's flying? Oh, yeah. Is it green?
Yeah. Cool, eh? Just buzzing around right by me.
Have you watched Black Mirror at all?
Black Mirror?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you should watch Black Mirror. You'll get your mind blown like with every single episode.
I watched Space Odyssey 2001 on the way here, though.
That's a good one.
Oh man, that blew my mind.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You seen that?
Pardon?
Have you seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I haven't. I don't think.
See, like,
check it out.
You got lots of things to do. Put that on your to-do list.
This is the thing, is that I didn't have this understanding. So these types of movies that you're talking about, I was like, pfft, you know, I couldn't see the synchronicities in them before. Now I watch movies, and I'm like, okay, it's almost like, it's awesome. It's ego shattering, to say the least.
All of the unveiling or the disclosure happens in regular movies and TV. Mm-hmm. And then what happens on the so-called news is 100% bullshit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Black Mirror has an episode that a company started creating bees, like mechanical bees, because the shittiness of consumerism was destroying all of the species on the planet, including bees. So they're like, okay, well, we need flowers to keep producing pollen so we can keep having crops and this and that. So they're like, we're going to make bees because there's no more bees. So they made bees. And then the whole, that devolved itself into a very bad situation on the show. But I'm saying that because in this current reality, they're talking about making bees now to do the same exact thing, because we're losing bees and we need pollen to get from flower to flower or whatever. So Black Mirror has, I don't know, they have so many.
So do you think they're talking about bees, or do you think we're the bees?
We're the bees? Maybe.
What if we're the bees? What if they're making machine us, and we're the bees, and we need to get pollen from flower to flower?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
true. That's true. Though it is true in a sense, because the pollen that we're carrying is the sort of purity of awareness that has been tried to be snuffed out with everybody. And there are clones running around, and there are, like, everything, in a sense, like, all realities merge in this particular one that we're in. And I think that it's probably the same with everyone. If you're in a reality, then you're still connected with every other possible reality. And depending on the level of the minds of the populace, the collective level, depends on how much variation can come in to your sort of a baseline reality. But as we can see recently, like, the things are accelerating. Lots of things are merging and coinciding in this particular reality. And the borderline between reality and fantasy is blurring, which it should have always been blurred a long time ago, but somehow it got stuck on the, like, this is truth, and this is a tree is a tree, and the bird is a bird, and the earth is round, and God loves you, and you're going to heaven or hell, and all this stuff, right?
Heaven or hell? I'll take both. Can I take both?
No. That's not allowed.
Is it? So you mean both isn't one?
No, that's not a choice. And you can't ever actually get to heaven or hell, because that would require for you to be present, and you're not allowed to be present.
Right? Yeah, we don't understand how the divide and conquer works way before it even happens physically. Right? Like with individuals or with countries or nations or businesses or whatever, how big it gets. But it happens way before that happens.
Yeah.
It happens it happens with language, it happens with words, they do it with the fucking alphabet, numerology, it's in everything. Even like everything. Like 1 + 1 is not 2. You can't prove to me that 1 + 1 is 2. You can't.
It's like mathematics, right? Mathematics, you learn it in school, and it's like you're trying to say that this way of arranging symbols is a closed loop program, and there are no like, it's all figured out. It's all figured out totally flawlessly. It's perfect. The system is perfect. 1 + 1 is 2, and then all the way up through advanced trigonometry and calculus, and math is math. Like, that's what they want to tell you, but it's so far past that. It's the trick is just so evident when you look at it. There's no more debating whether it's a trick or not. It's totally a trick. Even mathematics is a trick. It's a mental trick. Yes, it works, but that's because logic works. Math works because logic works, not vice versa.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You could make up, if you taught a logical system, you could change all the numbers around and flip them upside down and backwards and create the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And teach it to people, and then make it, this is reality.
Yeah. Base 10 is computer code, right? It's 1 0.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that sort of aspect of the machine presented itself in arithmetic, before anybody looked into what is AI, or what is what is the beast, or what is the machine, what is the machine god Lauda's talking about, all this stuff. Before you can even come to that, you have to, I guess, look at things like math and understand them on their own terms, and then that acts as a sort of thing to bounce off the new awareness with. Because math is fine. Math is useful. You like to know how many papayas you want, right?
2. I want 2 papayas. Sorry.
Is that a vape pen or is that weed?
That's my medicine. That's I brought that all the way from Canada.
Why how come you're coughing?
It's distillate.
Distillate?
Distillate, so it's 97% pure THC.
So it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's like condensed.
Yeah, it's basically the juices. Well, they like boil the oil. They get it to a certain temperature, and then it goes up this machine and drips just the THC into the other bottle.
Is that a healthier version of what's known as wax?
It would be. It just has the fats removed.
Okay.
Same thing. It's just the next. Yeah, it's just more. But then again, you're taking, because it's distillate, so it's not a full spectrum. So it breaks down. Again, it's the divide and conquer thing. So it takes all the THC, and then it takes the CBD. It separates it all. So this is just THC. So I'm not getting the full benefits from the whole cannabis plant, but
yeah. So you're not having the CBD, which is like the relaxing component.
Well, it affects the body. The CBD, it helps equilibrize the physical body too. This stuff is just for my brain, which isn't mine, so that's why I do this stuff. So the machine, the machine. So the cloning thing, what do you think they're doing with that? I don't really know much about it. I've listened to Og talk about it a couple times, and he's talked about like supercomputers and downloaded consciousness and stuff, but I guess I want to see it.
Yeah. The cloning thing, I mean, I've never seen clones that have self-identified as clones. I've never had that happen to me personally. But I've heard enough stories of people seeing the same person here that they saw somewhere else. I just know that the way that this particular reality system is managed utilizes technology like that. But it's also, if you want that. So if you stay aware, you stay in your 0 point, then there aren't clones, there aren't anything. Like a body walking down the street is a body walking down the street, and then you apply thought forms to it and it becomes a clone or a human. So like, do you want to go into that particular reality where you're sitting there having people identifying as clone or not clone? Because right now, even if you could do some research and say, I've found out that clones exist, then you're anchoring yourself into that, and then you're going to start seeing clones.
And then even that, like, I don't even know what a human is. So to say that that's a clone and that's a human, like, what, like, where, well, what makes a human different than a clone? Like, I'd have to, that sounds like a rabbit hole.
It's all rabbit holes, though. Every single movement you make is a rabbit hole, but the conceptual mind is different from the present moment in that aspect, so you can't even explore rabbit holes while you're retaining self-awareness. Like, that's fine. It's when you give yourself into the power of the conceptual anchors and hooks, when you give yourself over to that, then you're going to find yourself, maybe someday you'll just wake up or something will snap, and all of a sudden all this stuff that you've been conceiving of, like clones and whatever, is just happening directly around you, and now you're in there and you got to deal with that.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't even, after asking the question, I don't even know what a clone is. Like, what does it mean to be human? Like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how did, like, so this morning I, like, when I opened my eyes, I was here and able to perceive, but I can't really understand that or explain it.
Yeah.
So even to say that, clone sounds like it's like a new age race. Because it's like,
yeah,
it's one more thing
right.
divided, and it's like I can't really prove or understand how or why or what. So it's pretty interesting. It's almost like questioning the clone thing makes me realize there's nothing to know. It's good weed, eh? Well, this was an awesome time, bro.
Yeah. I knew it'd be good.
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't?
I tried not to think about it too much. I didn't know it was going to be this comfortable. I thought I was going to be stumbling because the conceptual mind leading up to this point decided to think that stuff. So
yeah.
It's interesting. Well, I think it was just the week that we the rain delay there. That's where I started to.
That was also a thing for me. It wasn't just you. It was like I was in the midst of getting a place actually, and I was getting ahead of myself with doing shows, and I had like 3 shows set up for the weekend, but I still hadn't moved in, and I was also dealing with stuff with my ex and my baby, and getting up into the resentment areas, and I can't do shows when I'm in that mode, so I had to do my own sort of cleaning house that weekend.
Yeah, I was so glad when you messaged me and said you didn't want, or that we should postpone it. And I was like, yes.
That probably would have been a bad show because, if you get on there and you're holding those things somehow, you're holding anything, then it doesn't flow. At that point,
no.
You either have to talk about the thing that's upsetting you with the other person, and then you'll work it out and you'll be fine, or whatever, maybe. Or you're going to get on there and the whole conversation will you be hiding from that resentment you're holding, or the whatever thing is twisting inside your gut, you're going to be hiding from that because you want to talk about it and you want to figure it out, and you can't.
Yeah, it's interesting how good on you for knowing that, though. That's a teaching in itself for people that we don't have to do the things we say we're going to do with those who will understand what is going on in reality for us. Like making appointments and stuff, I'm the worst at that, which is the best because it's like being able to surround myself with people that understand that, hey man, I said I could do this, but I'm not feeling up to it.
Yeah.
I'm more responsible to myself and how I feel and how, like you said, what's going on. Am I really able to go on this show and talk to this guy about freedom if I'm not free?
Yep. I mean, that's what the sleepers, that's their whole thing, is their whole sleepwalking trajectory is designed around this idea of let's get together and do a thing, but it's all prescribed let's get together and do a thing, like holidays, or like go to work, or like I must eat food at 5:30 p.m. every day, and then Jeopardy comes on at whatever time, if you're older, or whatever people watching nowadays. But like, you fall into that it's a comfort zone. You fall into a comfort zone, and if someone comes out and intrudes into it and says, hey, I can't make it because I'm not feeling good, then your own comfort zone has been intruded upon, and you're upset. So all of these set holidays and birthdays and everything, it literally is a way to create strife and pissiness in the whole entire population, because everyone at the core of them knows, like, this isn't really as important as like somehow it's being made out to be, but we're all pretending, but then we still get mad at each other because it's not going right and all this stuff, like.
I guess it's like almost like a ritual abuse kind of, even though
It
it's like
is.
it's
It's a ritual abuse of everyone by themselves to each other.
yeah,
It's
but it's
ritual. I
like
mean, you're
this.
doing it at the same time every day, every year. It's like repeats itself. It's ritual. Everybody hates it. They admit, like, I hate the holidays. Like, that's how, it is ritual abuse. It's like a mild form of it, I guess, but
Well,
maybe
I
maybe
guess
maybe not mild. I don't know if it's the one that's
well,
tying you
mild,
into.
maybe not for children. Like think mild in like an adult who's been abused and tortured their whole life, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a kid going through that, taught that that's normal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was raised that way, or not me, but the kid that I have memories of being thinking it was really weird. It was really weird. This place was really weird.
Yep.
It's not that weird anymore for me, so I don't know what that says.
No, when you come out of it, it's not weird at all. It's like,
Sorry, I'm not using the right word. It wasn't weird. It was like traumatic before, and now it's weird, which is like somehow freeing, and it's somehow like relieving. It's like, oh, thank God! Like I can wear my hat sideways. I can, I
yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
oh, I can do anything.
Right. It's there's a
And
there is a big relief.
and in doing that, it like almost allows me to allow other people to be free too. But then it's like you look around and nobody wants to do their thing though. Everybody's like chained up, like afraid to be themselves.
Yeah.
And then you try to talk to them and you try to say like, hey man, like I love you, bro. I just you try to bring them up, and some people like get defensive and try to like argue with you, like whatever, man. I thought we were bros. And it's like, man, I see that you're suffering. You're constantly complaining all the time, like. It's so weird the way it works.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't work. So.
Yep. People don't want to come out of it. People don't want to come out of it.
No, it usually. I mean, for me, it took a lot of suffering. Like, and I didn't do well. I didn't succeed in the world to the point where I was looked at in society with like, oh look, there's
Yeah.
Like I was a fuck up. So it was really easy for me to want to come out of something because what I was in was shitty. It was really shitty. It was really painful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drugs, a lot of evil, a lot of dark places. So for me, it was a simple choice. I think what's happening in society is that, they have a nice house and they get a car. They're a little bit successful. Maybe their parents gave them a little bit of gold when they were young, and they were able to create a more successful. I love that word, success. You're sucking sass out of a pool. But so there's never the physical like fear. So they're never out of a place to live. Like I was homeless sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I was junked out. No money, couldn't keep a job. So simple for me. Some people, they just can't see the end. There's not really a financial ends for them. So it's almost like if we can't have some sort of agreement on that reality needs to change, it's like there has to be some sort of terrible occurrences, almost what seem to be terrible for those that are unwilling to change. Right?
Yeah.
And those that aren't holding on, well, it's all good. Like your video, you said, if you don't care where you end up,
yeah, then it doesn't matter where you end up. You're ending up in the same place anyway. If you're in a different dimension, you're still in the same place. It's just that the surroundings have changed. Like if you're floating, if you have become a gnat instead of a human, you're still the same thing.
Because my awareness, yeah.
Have you ever awareness itself is just awareness. It's not anything. It's not anything special or whatever. It's just like it's awareness. I don't know. What were you saying?
Have you ever done ayahuasca or DMT or mushrooms?
No. I did mushrooms. No? I drank some mushroom tea at a wedding recently, but my mind-blowing experience was from weed, and that was in my early 20s, and it was 100% traumatic. and see it now as being introduced to the mental parasite and having to like battle with that for 2 hours, which to me was forever and a half. And after that, I experimented with weed for a few times and it wasn't ever as bad, but I just realized that I don't need any substance whatsoever. All of it is the same thing. This ordinary consciousness has access to all of the things that weed showed me in a traumatic way, in a better way. Like, I can access them in a way that's not traumatic, and it's more subtle, so therefore more enjoyable. It's not like bashing you on the head with bat, kind of thing. So I don't have any need for ayahuasca or DMT. I'm already living that. Like, I am that stuff, but on a level that's not traumatic. It's not like I don't need it,
So you would say you experienced psychological events that were like shattering to your personality or psyche or ego without those things over the last little while, you'd say?
Yeah, that continues. Yesterday there was another one.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't need to do anything. Like, it's heavy sometimes, but I'm not stopping any of it from happening. And plus, if something starts to come along energetically, then I can't do anything about it anyway. Like, there are certain things that you can do nothing about.
Well, certain things that's what they're meant to be there for, is to be there, not for you to do anything, right? Just to experience it sometimes.
Yeah, it's all exploring to me. It's just vast exploration. And a waiting game until like other aware humans come into the scene, and at some point, to me, the people should somehow get together and do something other than like the machine and trained mind that you see in society. And we're doing that here, like this sort of thing is an example of that happening, but I'm still sort of waiting for more people to wake up to where like the whole society is not just sleepwalking. Because how else do you explore? Everybody should be exploring everything and like swapping houses and cars and just like fucking around, like once the thing drops, it's just dropped. Do whatever.
Yeah, it is hard to, well, not hard, it's like a little bit disappointing. It's like, oh man, like there's no one to play with, It's like you go to the park, you go to see all your buddies there, and no one's there when you're young, right? You ride your bike all the way there, you're like, the swing blowing in the wind, and you're just like, oh man, where's all my boys?
It's exactly like that, yeah.
Shit, man. But it's nice that we get to use the technology to connect, like us connecting, and with other things. But I know what you mean, man. I can't wait. I see it all the time, where there's so weird. See like this, just not this celebrations and things.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not an event. It's like, no, this is how we're gonna live, you guys.
Yeah, right.
Why can't it be? Like, that's what I want. That's what I do for the most part. That's what happens for me. Life is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, you start out, you're the seed, right? You're a seed, and people see your energy, and then that energy starts spreading out. Like what I do on YouTube seeds the populace that's ready for some sort of new awareness. It seeds them with mine and goes back and forth, and I get stuff back from them, and it takes on its own sort of organic growth. I'm not dictating though. Like I don't care how it comes out, but the awareness and the sort of way of seeing is, to me, much more healthy than the other thing. So like, take it and do something. Do something interesting. Everybody's day is like endless opportunity for doing something different, and everybody still is like, but I need to do this one particular thing, and then they scare themselves out of doing that one particular thing. So like, I don't know. You have to explore yourself, like your own inner self, and explore your mechanism that gets you to do things or not do things, and figure that out. And then once you've figured that out for the most part, then you can actually get together with other aware people, and the way the thing flows is understood, like, inherently, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not running up on roadblocks every 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can't even. I like what you were saying earlier about doing the same thing. Like, I can't even keep it together for more than a couple days. Like, it's so like spontaneously exciting, but sometimes it's like you want to kind of have like that contentment or that comfort,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never actually what you think it is. It's for me anyways, like once I do the repetitive cycle even for a couple days or like a week, that's when I can't do the show with you because I'm so fucking baboon minded, right?
Yeah.
I'm like those apes on Space Odyssey 2001 that are all jumping up and down, wah wah.
Yep.
But that's backwards from what we're told, and that's backwards from what we, watched our parents do. That's backwards from what they show us in the media and what they program into our minds.
Yep.
They're like, oh, consistency. You need to have a home, and your child needs to be raised in a, what do they call it? He needs to have a structure. He needs to have structure, and all this, and all these
color inside the lines, right?
Yeah, color inside the lines. Yeah, I do it to my guy all the time, man. It's like, fuck, how do I undo that? Because he's 4 now, so he's got like a couple of years. The last couple of years though, he picked up some bad habits from me, but they're not bad. Sorry, go ahead.
My kid was having issues coloring one time. Like, he was upset that he couldn't do it how he wanted to, and like, he had the whole color and the lines thing going on, and I was like, dude, just go crazy with it, just like, I told him to like take a crayon and just start attacking the paper, and he ended up like blasting holes in the paper and then looking at me like, is this okay? I was like, yeah, it's fine, like, and then we replaced the paper, and then he started just doing what he like whatever came.
Whatever. Yeah, freed his mind, eh?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I find myself doing that with my kids too. When I'll get like, I'll see that they're struggling with an attachment based on something that I've taught them, or that they've picked up. Whatever, doesn't really matter. They're doing it, and then I'll often I'll go towards that thing. So like you said, like the coloring thing, or like if I see that they're like they yell or something, then they look at me like I'm gonna get mad. I'll just start like yelling. Right?
Yeah.
No, it's fine. We can yell.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Exactly.
And it just totally. They're just like, what? Or you do the double speak thing backwards, like with my 10 and 11-year-old sometimes. Like, oh, great, guys. Yeah, don't help your mom at all. No, she doesn't need help at all. You guys are doing great just sitting there doing nothing. Keep it up. And they're just like, oh, they just get up and do it. Right? It's like, that's so weird how I can backwards talk you to do something.
Well, the kids want that. Like, they want you to actually see them as living beings. Like, that's what the inner child wants. It wants play, but it needs your support. Like, they need you to take care of them in a sense, but also their minds are just as complex as ours, more so likely. They're more like on the DMT experience, like the way their flow is happening is more like that, like colors and just everything is just flowing around, right? And then the teacher comes in and it's like, color inside the lines, must wake up at 8 o'clock, this is a healthy breakfast, eggs and vegetables.
You can't wear a pajama shirt outside the house.
Yeah.
And you can't wear a regular shirt as pajamas.
Right. So those things go and go and go and go. And like, being weird is actually one of the prime ways of escaping. Also, like, do something weird, shave your head, like grow your hair long, get tattoos, literally do anything to shake your own
your own comfort.
It's shaking your stuckness.
Huh. Shaking your acceptance, did you say?
Your stuckness.
Oh, your stuckness. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to shave my head, I think. Like today or tomorrow, I brought my hair trimmer. It's 4 years, man. 4 years.
You might get emotional about it.
No, it's fine. Maybe I will. I don't know. Well, you just said it, and I brought the thing I was planning it, so
you're gonna cry.
No, this is the first time I've had long hair since I was in grade 7 or 8, so no big deal. It's just hair. It's not even me.
No, your hair. Okay, maybe I shouldn't produce this, but the hair contains like uh,
sensories.
it contains your past in a sense. So like the way that you're speaking and everything is contained in your long hair, and when you chop that, it's like cutting off part of yourself. This is
Cool.
as far as I understand. It's not, it's not like you're gonna die or something or traumatic in that way.
Yeah.
You might
But
feel
no,
a bit of loss.
it's a little mini death or something.
Yeah.
I hope they don't have to go to the hospital because it's pretty weird in Mexico. I don't know if I can afford that haircut. You know what I mean?
They'll be like, "Why are you here?" Oh, I cut my hair off and now I'm traumatized. No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think I have to shave it then for sure. Because if you're telling me this is a hook, it's got to go.
Yeah, you'll know. You'll know if you're supposed to.
You know, I also don't believe in time though, so like the past me is the same place as the future me, isn't it?
The past is not a thing whatsoever.
No, I'm saying that the me of the past
is the same as the future you?
Well, it's like, I can't prove that it's in a different place than like.
Well, it's potentiality versus remembering something.
Yes, but I'm saying outside of the now, it's not like the past is here and the future's.
No,
it's all an idea. It's all an imagination. It's all an idea.
It's all, yeah.
Like one I've experienced apparently, and one I will experience. But
yeah, it's mind games. But the past is different. The past is different than the future, in terms of conception, at least, because the past is something you specifically remember doing, or at least. And when people compare their remembered pasts with each other, then they have to coincide on some level, otherwise they're both talking about something that's not related. So there is a specific thing that the past is, but it's not exact. Like, it's certainly not what they say in his story classes. It's not that. It's like it's still more subconscious. It's more subjective.
Her story.
Her story. It's
her story.
It's story. It's our story.
Yeah.
Yep. How long are you in Mexico? Do you know?
What day is it today?
Sunday.
Saturday to Saturday. A week. We're staying in this staying in this house.
Airbnb?
Pardon?
Is it an Airbnb?
Yeah, Airbnb.
Yep.
But we're renting out the bottom suite.
Oh, there's people there too?
They live upstairs, a nice Mexican family from Mexico City, and they built this place. And beautiful lady, just so open-hearted, just like sharing her deepest life with us right out. She picked us up from the airport. She took us to get groceries. It's just beautiful, man. People are so fucking beautiful sometimes.
Yeah.
When we let them be.
Yeah.
When we allow ourselves to be.
Yep.
It's just so beautiful. I should probably go. I'm probably gonna go cry after this. I haven't cried.
Go have a cry. Go cut your hair off and have a good cry.
yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, this is fun.
It was very fun. Thank you very much, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll figure it out.
I'll
talk to you again soon.
Come visit if you're ever in California.
Yeah. Well, is it smoky still? I don't want to come when the fires are there. Is Paradise lost forever?
No, it's very beautiful. It's been raining for like a week straight, so it's like flawless.
Is Paradise lost forever though?
No. The city was wiped out, but I'm not sure.
Huh.
Paradise.
That sounds horrible. Sounds horrible.
Dude, that's another. That's another program, right?
Well, I'm not in California right now, so I don't even think
the city was called Paradise.
Yeah, it's.
It literally burnt. Like that city in California called Paradise, right? Burnt up. So everybody who's like, paradise, we need to get it. We need utopia. It's burnt. It's gone.
Mm.
Be in hell. Bastards.
Mm.
It's all
I
programming.
see it. Yeah, I see it. I see it different ways too, though. It's weird. Like I don't really know. It doesn't really matter to me. Like, whatever's happening knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Whatever's controlling this reality or manipulating it or whatever, it all knows.
Yep. And then there are so many like mind threads running simultaneously and layered on top of each other that's you'll get your mind blown so many times if you just look into it a little bit. That's why you can fall into the rabbit hole so far and so fast and so deep, and then all your friends can't recognize you anymore because you're like splayed out into the billions of rabbit holes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have no peace if you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just like live in the dark web or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a whole other show, though. I'm gonna go down to the ocean. You can do that too. You're lucky. You can go to the ocean anytime you want. I'm gonna come for a visit soon, bro.
Yeah, come visit.
You got a spot? You got a spot to put me up?
Yep.
Cool.
Got a couch for you
cool.
at least, at the minimum.
You got a couch? Well, we can bring. I got this little like roll-up air mattress thing too.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll chat more.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Om.
Thanks.
Namaste.
Yes, and all that fancy stuff. Love and light and.
Love and light and sparkly bubbles.
Fucking, I'm gonna go get my chakras aligned. And yeah, all that good stuff.
Chop the hair. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I will, bro. Take care.
All right, bye.
Peace.